"Don't you feel like a fish in a fishbowl?" Dr. Tatiana Satsanova asked the young man sitting beside her. She knew his name, of course. She wasn't sure what terrible things she'd done to deserve a seat next to someone with such a sullied reputation, but she decided not to let that bother her and to strike up at least the semblance of a conversation with him. At such state dinners, she listened politely to the usual drivel, this one not much different from the hundreds she'd attended. During childhood and adolescence, Tatiana had been required to attend them. As an adult, she rarely accepted the invitations, and her mother, the premier, invited her to a lot of state dinners. Tatiana wasn't sure why she'd agreed to come to this one. Whatever it was in honor of, Tatia was sure it was important, just as the last one had been, just as the next one would be. A long line of dinners convened for causes so important that they faded into a background of other important causes, themselves a patchwork of important causes amidst 1,000 other important causes, all conglomerated into a pastiche of important causes that her mother advocated so vociferously that Tatiana heard only the cacophony, and could never discern which her mother might favor. During these dreadfully boring events, Tatiana's usual way to cope was to smile and nod, offer a polite word or two to her interlocutor of the moment, to focus on the diner beside her and her husband if he happened to be in attendance. She put her mind in neutral and let her thoughts burble away senselessly, and hoped none of the nonsense in her mind slipped inadvertently from her mouth. Tatia looked around, diners gravitating toward their chairs along the impossibly long dining table, extravagant porcelain and glistening crystal, graced with gleaming silver and origami silk. Bouquets, at intervals, lent a touch of color to the glitter and glow, tapers sprouting erectly from their centers. The gold print name card, in front of the folded silk napkin, held her maiden and married names in perfect balance, a combination she'd found unwieldy. In spite of her aversion to politics, she'd kept her mother's name, her relation to the Premier of Ukraine having its advantages. "I always feel like a fish in a fishbowl, Dr. Satsanova," Fedeka Andropovich replied, grinning mischievously. "And if they're not talking about me, it's because I've neglected to give them something to talk about." "Oh?" Tatia said, raising an eyebrow. "This is the Admiral's son," she reminded herself, "who'd established quite the ribald reputation. Why is that, Captain Andropovich? What good is their attention if it isn't focused on me?" Tatia tittered uncontrollably, a surge of desire flooding her. What a gadfly he is. She was quite certain her speaking with an incorrigible scandalmonger at an official state dinner would set her mother's soul on edge. Good, Tatiana thought. It's only what she deserves after pestering